vi vorrei presentare Karl Haub, il presidente di FBN International. Please.
Yeah.
Come sapete, IDAF fa parte di questo network internazionale di cui appunto Karl è presidente e vi presenterà questa associazione incredibile. Per chi di voi ha partecipato ai convegni, al summit internazionale, è veramente un'occasione per aprire le nostre mentalità, imparare dagli stranieri e trovare un modo diverso di interpretare le cose che facciamo, sia in termini più vicini al mondo del passaggio generazionale, con esperienze diverse, sia rispetto quindi a temi di governance, così come anche a temi di business, in cui parliamo e ci troviamo di fronte a delle realtà di aziende familiari straniere che veramente ci possono dare molto. Ogni anno questo summit è un'occasione, faccio uno spottone pubblicitario per Karl e per il summit che quest'anno sarà in Cina. Credo che possa incominciare con la presidenza di Karl un nuovo percorso in cui cercheremo di avvicinarci sempre di più nelle attività, in modo che possiate come associati avere la possibilità di entrare in contatto anche con le altre aziende. Abbiamo una serie di progetti, tra cui gli stage internazionali, sia per i family member ma anche per scambio di idee, che credo del gran valore aggiunto. È impensabile parlare di internazionalizzazione delle nostre imprese se non ci mettiamo nella condizione di scambiare idee e di imparare anche dagli altri. Quindi lascio a Carla, che su questo tema dell'integrazione sociale, non solo come rappresentante di FBN ma come impresa tedesca, credo che ci possa dire molto. Quindi grazie della tua presenza, è la prima volta che, devo dire, un chairman di FBN partecipa a un National Congress e per noi è un grande segno di ascolto e in qualche modo di volontà di continuare in questa partnership fondamentale. Grazie Carla.
Elena, thank you so much. So first of all, I have to tell you that I don't speak Italian. And I have no clue what Elena just said. I hope it was nice. To get around in Italy, you can speak English, or you have a wife that speaks Italian. And Katrin, my wife, is here with me, so I never get lost in Italy. Congratulations on 19 years of IDAF, FBN in Italy. So you're one of the oldest chapters, actually. And how come that never a chairman has attended one of your meetings? I don't know. But since last night, I have witnessed even more the energy that Elena Zambon has for IDAF, FBN. And it's wonderful. And I now, for the first time, have the privilege of having her on the board of FBN International. So I see her there, and we see her energy already emerging in the board. So Italy is going to play a vital part, I'm sure, about the progress of FBN International. I'm actually also happy to be here in Taormina again. I was here once as a small boy. I don't know how old I was. It's probably a lot of things have changed. But I need to tell you that my grandparents, which would be third generation, in the 1930s, would spend every summer holiday here in Taormina. Not with a plane, like today, but by car. They drive from Frankfurt 7 days down and 7 days up, and 7 days they stay. I don't know if we would do this today. And the roads were not paved. And you had to get over the Alps, cold. And they had a Bugatti, small Bugatti. So they loved Italy, obviously. I want to share you a little bit of history of our company, family business Tengelmann. And if I have the time, talk a little bit about FBN International and why I think it's so important to have it. And if we still have some time, and unfortunately my wife and I had to leave at 3:30 to catch a plane to get back to another event this evening, we can do some question and answers, maybe on the digital revolution or on the refugee crisis. So let's see how it goes. Okay, Tengelmann, probably a name you don't know. Today is a diversified international retail holding, plus real estate, plus 2 venture capital companies. Our biggest company you know, I hope, at least if you live north of Rome, is OBI. Do-it-yourself OBI. We're not number 1 in your country, but we are at least number 2. You know another company, hopefully, we have invested in as a first investor is Zalando. Girls, I hope you do business with us. And another one, it's also more for the ladies probably, Dalani. Great, I'm really happy. We have 650 do-it-yourself stores of OBI. We are the number 1 player in Central Europe. We're active in more than 10 countries. We have a fast fashion retailer called Kick, which is not in Italy yet, but hopefully by next year we will start in the north of Italy. 3,500 stores, 12 countries. So wait for that. And we have a dollar store concept, 1,500 stores in 6 countries. We just started in Spain. And we have an online pure play, not active in Italy yet. We don't have enough babies, but it's called Baby Store, Baby Markt, active in 12 countries. And as I said, we have 2 venture capital companies, 41 companies we support in Europe, and some 21 companies we support in the United States. Why did we do that? Because of the digital revolution. We wanted to be part of that tsunami, and we wanted to do more than our traditional businesses. We wanted to see what's happening in this world, and that's why we started investing 7 years ago. And obviously we were lucky with Zalando when we invested it 7 years ago. Totally, we have more than 5,000 stores, more than 7,500 people that we care for, and 8 billion in sales in 20 countries. And those countries include United States as well as Russia, which is a challenge right now. We are still a fully owned family business at the holding level, 4 shareholders. And we will celebrate our 150th anniversary next year. We also did not have many babies. But next generation is growing up, 8. So we will have a lot of issues down the road. They are between 19 and 27 years old, and all of you know what that means. Who is going to do what, and how can we handle that? Our company started in 1867 as an importer and distributor of foodstuffs from the colonies. Colonies where we brought cocoa, coffee, herbs and spices. And we started our first food retail stores in 1893, and then we ran a food business for 4 generations. Food retail was our core. If you are in Germany and you talk about Tengelmann, it's always Tengelmann are the supermarkets. And we are now just getting out of that business, which is sad, but it was necessary. Each generation, as you can imagine, had to struggle with their own challenges. World War I, World War II, we saw 5 currency changes, 5 times the currency changes in our history. We had to survive the Nazis. We saw the disruption of the service stores by self-service, huge disruption. We had to overcome and deal with 4 generational transitions. And since this is a safe space to talk about it, our company was on the verge of bankruptcy 4 times. Mostly had to do with the generational transitions. And we had our share of own misjudgments and mistakes, as we all do, and we have to overcome. My first 5 years as a CEO was exactly that. we needed to do a hard restructuring of our company. I needed to downsize the company and focus the company. My father was what you would call a monument. My father grew the company from 700 million euros to 25 billion. And he collected companies, and he collected concepts, and he could never let go of anything. Maybe is some with you, or your fathers, or grandfathers. He could not let go, so we were totally unfocused, and we ran into a serious situation. We actually had 24 different businesses when we inherited the company in the 5th generation, my brother Christian and I, who are co-managers. So we had to downsize it and focus it to what we wanted to achieve. We only wanted to have #1 companies in each sector. And once we get our supermarket sale solved, then we will only have #1 positions. #1 in DIY, #1 in fast fashion, #1 in dollar stores, soon to be #1 in the baby and toddlers product online, and we are probably one of the top 3-4 players in the venture capital business in Germany and Europe now. This transition that I remember, that I lived through from my father to me and my brother, was not easy, as it happened exactly in that time of the downsizing. I had to let go of businesses that my father grew up and created, and the issue was he was still alive. Before, all the transitions were happening because the leader died. Our generational transition was the very first one where the leader lived. And that created a huge problem with the legacy of my father. He thought, now everybody was going to look down on him of what he did. Now, 10, 15 years later, I'm happy to say we preserved the legacy of our father. Nobody ever realized how in despair we were. Nobody ever realized that. Being a private company, you don't have to disclose your earnings, you don't have to disclose your debt. So we managed to overcome this situation. And we were lucky as a family, because we had a wonderful mediator. Not a lawyer, not a consultant. It was our mother, who mediated between our father and the 3 boys who succeeded him. We have a huge respect for our father, because he really was a monument in the German retailing world. But it was just a few years too long that he ran the company. The management style was still patriotic. Everything had to be decided by him. It doesn't work in our world anymore. We needed to have focus. We needed to decentralize and give power to the operating units. We needed to be more professional, and at least internally, we needed to be more transparent. Nobody in the company knew the state of the company when we took over. There was no numbers, the banks didn't have any numbers, and the issue was everybody thought we were so wonderful and so great, but there was no cash available anymore. We had a heavy debt burden. The equity was below 10%, and we were almost gone. Something worked out well. We are back in business. The equity ratio is now up to 30%. We got rid of the stress with the banks. Sorry if Seller Bank or others, I've had not so good experiences with banks. They give you money when you don't need it, and they take it away when you need it. And even though that we had to downsize the company, we also were able to start a couple of new companies. Obi is the oldest company that we have. It's about 40 years old. The fast fashion is 22 years old. The dollar store company is 11 years old. And the venture capital companies are only 7 years old. As I said, currently we are trying to divest our last food retail activity. The deal that we managed to get was signed not yesterday, not last year. The deal was signed 2 years ago. and antitrust is blocking it since then. And we're fighting every day to find a way to get it done. I don't know about antitrust in Italy. We've never had an issue in your country. Maybe you understand what I mean. But I want to accomplish this job before we have our 150-year anniversary next year, of which we will be proud to celebrate at our headquarters. On the family side, let's go to that side. As I said, we have 4 shareholders, but we have 3 spouses, plus our mother. And next gen will be 8, and this is going to be no less interesting or challenging. The questions, and you know them all. Who can work in the business in the future? How do we handle divorces and new partners who are, you know the term, gold diggers? Nobody really likes to talk about it. We've had this incident. How do we take care of our next gen? How do we manage unity and trust across 2 continents? Because the family lives on the European continent as well as in the United States. What roles can we define for an ever-growing family? Can it only be in the business, or can it be in other areas, in philanthropy or at the board level? And how do we deal with poor behavior of any one of us? And even more important, how can we find a way to reconcile if we have dealt with it? We always tend to try to deal with a bad behavior or something, but we don't think, how can we reconcile? If you break at some point with a shareholder or a family member, totally 100%, I firmly believe you will never be able to reconcile afterwards. So, and we've gone through this experience. And this is where FBN comes into play, also for our family business. Although I only learned about FBN 9 years ago, but we've had it in Germany for 15 years. And I can only say FBN has ever since been a great help for our family business. So let me talk briefly about what I think is the value of FBN. From my own experience, maybe it helps or is for your kids as well. I spent 7 years outside of Germany after I finished school. I was in Switzerland, I was in the United States. I came back after 7 years and I didn't know anybody. My school people, school friends, were not the friends or colleagues that I could refer easy. They've done their own careers. So I started creating my own network. There was no such thing as FBN. Families together. So we created a network of retailers and suppliers. Today, FBN is there for our kids, and they use it. It's a perfect community to learn and talk, even about intimate things. Where else can you talk about such issues? Where else can you feel comfortable by knowing that you are rich and you can talk about somebody who's probably also rich or considered or perceived as rich? You cannot talk about this, at least in Germany, it's almost impossible. We're more socialistic as you can imagine. Yeah? So where can you talk about such issues, especially when you're young, next gen? And not only on a national or local, but also on an international level. Our kids have now Facebook contacts and WhatsApp group. I've just become part of a WhatsApp group myself now, finally. They have people all over the world that they meet, and they can keep in contact. And that is across 29 chapters and 65 countries. And we are growing by 2 chapters every year. And we have just now reached the thresholds of 10,000 members, of which 4,100 are next gen. And this is what I find so important about our network. It's not about the older gen only. It's about the next generation. 3,200 companies are now come together in the network. And it is truly the worldwide leading community for family businesses. There's an event of FBN every day somewhere in the network in our world. We've been just discussing over lunch how we can create even more collaboration between the chapters, so that an Italian member could join an event in Germany, or the Germans probably would enjoy more to come to Italy than you maybe to come to Germany, but this is where the network can really help us all, and we can enjoy it. And as you know, but I want to stress it again, it's a safe space. It's a trust environment. Or to say it in a different term, tears are allowed when we get together, especially when you're in small groups talking about very sensitive and very intense subjects. And it happens frequently. Tears in the room. But tears is not something bad. We know from science, if you cry about something, it's probably the first step of the healing. And family businesses have a lot of things to cry about. We know that. It's the only network that I know that is across generations. It's not only the older or the younger. Yeah? It's for 3 generations if you want to have them. Grandparents, parents, next generations. And it's inclusive of all family members. It's not only about the active in-business members, but it's about members that are part of the extended family, including the spouses. So I have never found anything else like that. It's non-profit, it's non-solicitation, and it is by families for families, with the help of academic. But when we have events, most of them are championed by the families themselves, organized by families. The speakers are mostly by families, and that makes it so unique. And it is an unparalleled source of knowledge in the room and of real life experiences. Consultants, they talk about something that they have heard about, but they've never felt it themselves. Yeah, I've been 4 years at McKinsey, so I have nothing against consultants, but it helps a lot if you know what you're talking about because you felt it yourself. That is something that we can exchange if we are open to it. For our family, FBN has become a focus point. We try as a family, not all of us, but ever-growing number, to be at 1 or 2 FBN events a year. We try to get to the Global Summit, which is this year's, we're going to take in Suju. And I'm very happy to report in this safe environment that I've managed for the first time to get our 3rd brother to come to an event of FBN. I've worked really a couple of years to try it. He's the outside, he's outside of the business, he's not part of the working family in the business, he's doing his own thing. He always felt a little bit on the side. I said, no, at FBN everybody's welcome. It's not about the business, it's about the family. And I was so happy when I saw him at a German FBN event just a couple of weeks ago. FBN, we have our family days, as you probably have yourself. We get together as families a couple of times a year and we do this. But at FBN, we are challenged by other views and other stories. And we listen to others and say, there's an edge, there's something we have never thought about. And that gets us, hopefully gets us further. And we are enjoying each other. So nice to meet each other once a year, maybe only at a global summit, from somebody from Colombia, or from Chile, or from Italy, or from anywhere in the world, and say, wow, nice people, good people, trusted people. People that you can really enjoy. It helps us at our own family governance work, and it's a super starting point for next generation education. I always encourage, have your next generation from the age of 17, 18 to join and come along. Not only at 25 or 30, as early as possible. It's like when you learn a language, you should learn it when you're in kindergarten. When you're in family business, you shouldn't only start considering something of a family business when you're 30 years old. You should take it as early as possible. And it really makes a lot of sense if you come to events with 2 generations. Father and son, mother and daughter, grandfather and son. It helps a lot, because then you can really exchange afterwards and say, Daddy, shouldn't we talk about this? It's hard. I know. I've gone through this. above all, there's following insight, and then I close. I found for my own sake, especially in difficult, emotional, stressful times at our family business, that when you come to FBN events, you realize one thing. You're not alone. You are not alone. Yeah? And it can be so helpful. And then you start talking, and then you get an idea. And somebody might say, I've had the same issue. Did you overcome it? Yes. How long did it take you? 5 years? 7 years? Oh my God, I'm in 2 years. Okay, I should give it more time. It's so helpful. An advice that you would never get from anywhere else. So I encourage you, as a chapter of Italy, grow, get even more and more people into the community, have a strong, I know you have, a strong next generation group. They are the future. Part of what we're doing here is not only for us, older gens, I have to realize myself, it's for them. Because what good is it that we are successful in our family business and afterward it fails? Then we have failed as a complete family manager. I would like to consider that I'm not, and my brothers are not the last in the generation. We get to 150 years and hopefully it gets to one more level. Because this is what we love to come. We walk through Taormina. What do we like here so much? It has history. Yeah, this hotel, 1400 something. It has such a history. You enjoy that. I enjoy it, at least. But all the tourists that come here enjoy that too. Yeah? And there's a big joy of having an older and growing family business to look upon, because you are, in the very end, part of something bigger than just one job for a short period of time. That's, I think, is worthwhile fighting for and persevering for, and that's why I enjoy FBN, and that's why I enjoy doing that on the side. Or rather, sometimes I say beside my small job at the company, being the CEO there, I enjoy doing this for FBN and enjoy coming here and spending some time with you. Thank you. Have time?
Thank you, Karl Haub. Thanks a lot for introducing FBN, for your business and experience.
Good.
I think we do have a few minutes for a Q&A session, so you can use the same number you were using before for SMS and WhatsApp, but there's also a mic in the room, so if anybody wants to ask a question to Karl, just raise your hand. I'm going to start asking you, among the three main challenges that we'll be discussing today and tomorrow here in Taormina, so social integration, digital innovation, and consistency of the family. In your experience, what's the main challenge for the family business, and how do you approach it?
Digital, I even call it a tsunami, not a revolution. You know, a tsunami comes and it goes for long, and when it goes back into the ocean, everything is gone, literally. So for us, it's a huge challenge. But I tell you a story, a personal story of why we got into the venture capital business, why we started investing into this digital world. I think it was 2006. Our kids were 13. We have twins, gemelli, I know that. And they still at that age wrote a wish list for Christmas. And our son is always a bit clever. So our daughter wrote 5 things on the list, and our son wrote 5 things on the list. But he added something behind each of the things he wanted, the www address, and he wrote, Daddy, Mother, this is what I would like to have for Christmas, and you don't even need to leave home, you can all buy this online. And it really triggered something in me, saying this is a generation that is 13 years old, which is so naturally dealing with these things, when we were not even buying anything online yet, that I said, when this generation is 10 years older, this is going to be a new world. So it was very helpful to have a young next gen at home. And even today, maybe you know the same, they come home at the dinner table and show us the newest gadgets, social Snapchats. Well, I brought that from America. They were only one that I was ahead of the curve. But they forced me into WhatsApp. Literally forced me, because at the company they said WhatsApp is dangerous. the data is leaking and it's going away. But I now forced the company to say, we have to do this. I have to be part of this. Otherwise, we don't know what's going on. It is the biggest challenge right now.
But it's also a very great business opportunity. You introduced us a couple of investments that you did in some of the most successful companies around in the e-commerce, for example, Zalando and Dalani.
We were early.
Yeah, how
we
did
were
you
the
approach
early.
it?
We are probably by now perceived as the retailer that grabbed this opportunity as the very first ones. First 3 years going into Zalando, I tell you, I had a hard time. Everybody said, you're crazy, you're wasting your money, this never work. They will never make money. And I said, well, look at Amazon. Amazon burned $3.5 billion. $3.5 billion before they broke even. It took them, I think, more than 11 or 12 years. So Zalando is now at a 4 to 5% EBIT ratio. The stock is great. IPO'd at 21 euro, now it's at 37. And I don't know where we bought in at 3 or 4 euros, so it's great. But you have to be, as always in life, if there's an opportunity, you have to be one of the first.
One of the biggest stories we heard this morning about innovation, digital innovation, referred to the fact that to understand and to practice digital innovation, you have to be in the right age. How is it changing the relation between generation inside a family business like yours?
I think I should leave the business now. Sometimes I feel like that. Yeah? It's very hard to relate to, first of all, how they speak, yeah? How fast they want to change things, and how fast they are about grabbing new ideas and trying it out. Yeah? We're trying to deal in a company that I created this sector separate, this venture capital sector, but it's a separate unit. They're in the same building on a far corner. Yeah, they were the first ones that took their ties off. They have their espresso machines for free and stuff like that. We never do that for the rest of the company. And I gave them some space. And there's the opportunity for owners, because we can do this. As CEOs of a public company, you might not be able to do this. And I see those that have invested into this new space, mostly in Germany, were actually family businesses. Holzbring Group, Otto Group, Vorwerk. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's mostly family businesses. They were the first ones to be able to give some money and some freedom.
There's a question from the audience. This is the first one. Which difference can you see between the German family business model and the Italian one?
I think the Italians, I don't know, no science. I think you are still more patriarchs than we have in Germany.
Would you repeat, because I don't think they heard exactly.
I think in Italy you still have more patriarchs at the helms. That I could imagine. Yeah? Although I think in Italy you are stronger as families. I sense that family business are somewhat even stronger. I think in Germany, if I look at our next gens at FBN, I think they speak much more open and direct and critical to their senior gens. I would imagine in Italy it's not so easy to talk in such a way.
I see.
Yet. It has to come. This gets the openness. This gets the whole thing. Becomes more creative.
Well, later in the room there will be the Italian Interior Minister, and we will talk about integration, immigration. How the German family business is facing the challenges of social integration. What practice can you tell us you follow in Germany?
I couldn't tell you what we all do. I know what we do. In December, before Christmas, I invited the refugees in our city. We had about 200-300 people coming, all generations, kids, all walks of life. I invited them for coffee and drinks, not alcohol, coffee, drink, and games at the company headquarters. And I invited my own people to join. So we had probably about 70 of my staff and about 250 refugees. Why? Because first of all, I wanted to give something back, because now they're here. We have to do something for them. But second, I wanted to have my own staff to have a personal relationship with a refugee, to experience them. And now I know that at least 10 of my own staff have found a relationship with one of the refugee families, and even today they spend time together and help them. So that was good. So now we just did a soccer match afternoon at the company. We have a nice soccer field, so we invited all those that wanted to play soccer, and we created teams, 15 minutes playing against each other. So I said, it's not about the money. Money is enough available. We need personal relationships to connect. And we do this at all company headquarters of our company, and I know some other family businesses do the same. But obviously it's just a very small portion. But if everybody did it, we are 80 million people in Germany. Let's take the elderly and the kids away. We have 60 million people that could do something. So 10% would be 6 million, 1% would be 600,000. And we had 1 million coming in. If 1% of Germans would do something, be fine. And a lot of people are doing something. It was just to add that, it was just a bit too fast, too much. 1 million in 6 months.
Yeah.
That blew the system. We couldn't handle it. And Germans would love to handle things, would love to be in control. And Germany for these months were out of control. And that's where we have some political problems now, of parties created, where we get 10 to 20 to 25% of the votes right now, because they say Germany lost control, and we have to make sure this never happens again.
Let's talk about also family cohesion, and you talked about how hard it can be sometimes when you break with somebody who's part of the family and so on. But in your experience, what's the secret to keep generation one after the other in a seamless way, in a peaceful way, in terms of pacts, and what kind of instruments and tools in your experience of your family have been more successful?
Patience. Sometimes you just need a lot of patience. Sometimes, especially families, you can never change things fast. You cannot fire a family member. If you do, then it's gone, then it's finished. Managers you can let go. In families, you cannot do that. We know from our experience that our father generation, he never really cared about all these topics. He was alone in his generation. There was nobody else than him. So I think I can relate to families where there's one patriarch, very strong. And now we have created all the tools. We have an advisory board, we have a family manager, we have a governance charter, we have a family charter, we do the family meetings, and so on and so on. We go to FBN. I think you will have to ask in about 10, 15, 20 years if it has worked. Sometimes even that does not work. But I think it's the minimum requirement going forward. The times are over where the next gen sit there and wait patiently if they're asked to join the business or not. That's all over. Many of them now say, I don't even want to go to the family business. I want to go into startup. I don't want to be in a big business. I want to have my own business. It's a new challenge that we have.
How many members of the family are involved in the business currently?
Two. And we have 8 next gens. Some of them are already involved in startups. So it's a fad in Germany right now that everybody wants to do something on their own, which is fine. It's a great experience. Will any one of them come into the business, work for the business? I don't know. For 5 generations, we had somebody who took the flag and kept on walking. Let's hope that somebody else will do it. No? I don't know. Cannot force it.
There's a question about FBN, and from the audience they're asking if FBN can be in the condition to help Europe become a real unique market and community. What do you make of it?
Who is you?
If can FBN, help Europe?
Europe. Europe.
Yeah, not you, Europe.
Well, FBN, first of all, is not a European association. It's a global association. I could imagine that we have, I don't know all countries, but most of the countries at some point in time, and not 10,000 members, but many more, and not 3,000 companies, but maybe 10,000 companies. And I think family businesses can, I don't know if they can change the world, but they can do good for the world. And at least there's a great balance to the quarterly capitalism companies on the stock market. We know the stock markets work by quarterly reports so that the stock market goes up or down. And the analysts like that, and even we as normal shareholders like that sometimes if the stock goes up because of some news. So they think short term. And the family businesses think long term. We like to say in generations, not in quarters. I think it's not everyone, but family businesses in general, I would say, have a more humane business model. I don't know if it's true for everybody, but I tend to hope and think that it's a bit more humane. Even if it's only 10% better, it's already much better for everybody. Huh?
Yeah, there's another question about China. Your next global meeting will be in Suzhou. And how do you see China for the family business in general? And do you see, looking at the fourth industrial revolution, any chance that some of the business that went in China outsourcing production, for example, due to costs, etc., will shore back to Europe in the future?
There are not so many family businesses yet in China. China market only opened up 27 years ago. So we're just seeing first family business emerge where the next generation want to continue. So that's question number one. It's a huge market, but not really so many typical family businesses. Will businesses have gone to China, come back? I don't know. We probably need some form of revolution here in our labor laws, in our tax laws, regulation laws, to get business back. I doubt it. Personally, I would doubt it. By the way, do we have the video of Suzhou with us? So let's not forget to show it once all the questions are exhausted.
So if we do have a video, we can play it now.
Yeah? Then I thank you.
We play it and then we thank him. Thank you so much.
I almost forgot about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karl.
Yeah. I want to...
As we leave Montreux and its inspiring lake, I'm very happy to announce to you that in 2016, FBN members will gather in Suzhou, an hour away from Shanghai, in China. Suzhou is known as the Venice of the Orient, famous for its canals, its gardens and its lakes. Its beautiful scenery will inspire us as we gather in China.
China is the largest emerging economy in the world. It also has the largest number of emerging family businesses in their first generation.
I'm Thomas Yu. I'm the second generation owner in business my parents founded only 20 years ago. I live and work with 28 other family members in our headquarters building.
I am Charlie Chow. In the network, they all call me Fred. I come from a family business originally from the Bund in Shanghai 4 generations ago, who started out as a shipping company and a logistic to support the trade into China.
When my great-grandfather founded the business, it was a social mission because he wanted to take care of his workers as well as the people within that region. And going forward, we want to preserve that mission of caring for mankind, which is how we translate our name of Rensen.
Chinese family businesses are going through a fascinating period right now. In the next 10 to 12 years, hundreds of thousands of family businesses will have to organize their succession.
I know that Chinese manage business different from those in the West, and I believe in bringing together the best of both worlds.
The theme for our global summit in Suzhou will be the community, from the I to the we. How do we ensure that families and businesses are more sustainable from one generation to the other? We think in generations, not in quarters.
Chinese is a culture based on Tao, the way. It's about unity, it's about harmony, it's about sustainability.
And I think it was quite important as a company and also in terms of our family to be able to preserve some of these traditions and heritage.
The Chinese said, there is heaven and there's Suzhou on earth.
We look forward to welcoming you in Suzhou, in China. We will organize new session formats and you will discover experiential learning inspired by other members and peers of the network.
Let us celebrate in Suzhou our great community, our tribe that I believe will certainly do great things for the future of the world.
See you there.